What's up guys, Matt with BleepinJeep. Everything off-road, none of the boring stuff. You've been asking for it. A compilation of all the videos of the Comanche doing some wheeling this past month or two during the Easter Jeep Safari in Moab. So this first one is from Hell's Revenge. This first obstacle is Mickey's Hot Tub. As you can see, I'm having to play crossy roads right here. Some of these people on the four-wheelers and razors don't seem to know I'm coming through here. So this is Mickey's Hot Tub, not to be confused with the actual hot tub, which is much steeper and harder. There you go. This is the Escalator. The Escalator can be pretty tricky, especially for short wheelbases and for people who have a body on their Jeep. So this Comanche has a body, but I've got a full roll cage, and also the axles are full width, so it really helps out here on the Escalator. This first dip right here in the water is where everybody gets crossed up, because it does flex you out quite a bit and you have to climb up the side of this wall and up and out. So that's the Escalator in the Comanche. Next up, we've got this obstacle right at the beginning of the hot tub, and usually it's a cakewalk, but I just went through this giant mud puddle kind of on purpose. I was just doing some playing around, getting some footage for the grams. So as you can see here in a second, when I start to go up it, my tires are fully soaked in wet goodness. So it's very slick and slippery. So what I did is I just dried them out for a minute here, dried the mud off, and as you'll see in a sec, it just bounces over the top. The actual hot tub is just there to the left. If you were going to enter the real hot tub, it's that hole on the left, right where that Ultra 4 car is sitting, right before that. And no, I did not do the real hot tub. I tried it with the Scorpion last year, or the year before, and it's pretty fierce, especially if you don't have a good suspension. This next obstacle, I'm not sure if it has a name or not, but it's right close to the beginning of the Metal Masher Trail, and it's just kind of an offshoot. You can choose to do this ledge or this rock wall face. It's pretty tall, about 6 foot or so, and a lot of people have failed and stacked logs in here, and that's pretty much the only way to get up it. But I made use of those logs. As long as you hit them just right, it's a piece of cake. You just walk right up it. This next obstacle is called Rock Chucker, and it proved to be very difficult, especially with the long wheelbase and wide axles. So my tires are out so wide, normally the line you'd take is right over that rock in the center there, but if I tried to do that, my tires would go on either side of the rock. So I tried both the left side and the right side multiple times, and as you can see, let's just watch. There it is. I was getting really close. I felt like it was gonna go, and then all of a sudden steam started pouring out. Everybody said shut it down, but I didn't want to stop right in the middle because there were people behind me, so I backed it all the way out so that I could work on it and let other people try the obstacle. Turned out my radiator hose was just too close to the AC compressor and nicked it, and started leaking
Not good.
a little bit of coolant, as you can see right here. Put some tape on it, silicone tape, and continued on the way to Widowmaker. Now this was the next big obstacle, and it was pretty gnarly and sketchy and straight up, about 10 feet in the air, but take a look. Not a problem for the Comanche. That second bump at the top is what was getting everybody. They're running into that and then not being able to go any further forward. So now we're on the Moab Rim Trail. This is one of the first obstacles. It's kind of a little V-notch bump right close to the edge of the Moab Rim. And then this is what they call the Z-turn. The Z-turn is called that because you go up and you have to zigzag your way through this. I like to take the more difficult line kind of straight up this ledge section on the left side, kind of at an angle. I like the way the camera guy turns around here and is like, well, that was boring. And here's the sand hill a little bit further up the Moab Rim Trail. So now we're on the Kane Creek fan ride, and here's a little washout section going down into the Kane Creek. That was pretty fun and muddy at the same time. And now we're heading up to the obstacle on Kane Creek, which it was a pretty fun obstacle. There was a group ahead of us, about 80 rigs, and we had to sit there for 3 hours, which wasn't the best thing, but we made the best of it and went and checked out the creek below and just relaxed a little bit, did some sightseeing, and then got to go up the obstacle on Kane Creek. I'm not sure if it has a name or not. There's a ledge about 100 foot over to the left side of this that makes it pretty gnarly in person. You can't see it in the video, but if you were to fall off of that, it would be pretty sketchy and a long way down. So this next place is called Area BFE. Yes, it is closed. It is private property, and yes, we did have permission to be there. This obstacle is called the Gatekeeper, and it was a pretty fun one. And I guess it's called that so that it keeps people out of here that shouldn't be in this area. But it was pretty gnarly. Off-camber section right here, I felt like I was going to flop over. And then it finally just went and caught onto that little rock right there. And then it's twisty and flexy and all kinds of goodness up in there. You just got to make sure to hit the rocks the right way so that as you're flexing out, it still balances out. You can see right there, I had one tire way off the ground, but it still worked out because the Jeep was level. Now this section is the playground in Area BFE, and there is some gnarly stuff down in there, as nasty as you want to get. Rocks as big as houses down in there. And you can see the undercut right there on the rear passenger side. It's taller than the tire. And I'm bottoming out right there, but back up, give it a little bump, and it'll bite right over. There's a trail called, I think it's called Green Day, inside of BFE. And here's just a couple of rock climbs and places on that Green Day trail. I'm not sure what they were named, what the obstacles were named. As you can see, they thought it was going to be more exciting than that. Here's a little notch section that is sure to give you body damage. Oh, I got really close right there. So one thing about having the dovetail in the front and the rear, which I don't have it on the front on this Jeep, but it really helps avoid some of those sticky situations like that. Now this was called Suicide. This hill was called, I think it was called Suicide Hill. And the reason being, it was pure suicide to try to go up it. You see that hole right there? Alright, so I knew, looking at this hill and studying it, that the rear tire was going to slide over once I got over that hill, or over that hole. And at that point there's no backing down. You'll see here in a second. Right here at this point, once that rear driver tire kicks over and is over that hole, there's no backing down at this point. If you were to back down, you'd flip over on your lid. So the only option, once you get there, and I knew this was going to happen, the only option is to continue going forward no matter what. And it was a dry day, luckily. Of course it always is in the desert, but luckily it was not muddy or slick that day. Now here is a different angle. Check this one out. This was from Chris Miller. And it just gives you a different perspective. It's hard to judge the way these rocks are on video. There's where it kicks over right there. And no backing down at that point. You just gotta continue forward. And I don't think if I would have hit the brakes it would have stopped. So if I needed to winch, I would have just had to hold on to the gas or the throttle. Now this obstacle was really, really sketchy. It's hard to see on camera, but there's a bump right there which turned you over to your side, and at the top of that, say 15-foot straight ledge, was pretty scary doing that. Here's another little section. I don't remember where this was at, but somewhere on the Green Day Trail. And this was a V-notch, which was narrower than the axle. So you get in this V-notch and then you have to climb over this rock. And I'll show you a different angle here in a second, but you can watch when I get into this notch here, it's going to turn me on my side. Right there, laying over on its side, I hit this rock and then I just drive out of it. Now let's back up there for a second. I want you to take a look at this. The window right in front of my face on the driver's side. Watch this, right about there. Did you see it? Let's play it in slow-mo. Boom, the windshield cracks. It was just so flexed out, somehow it tweaked the body and cracked the windshield. Here is another angle of the same hill climb. You can see it a lot better from this side. It's a capture from Instagram though, so it's not quite as good quality, but check that out. So I put this still photo that Tim shot in here because this next obstacle, I just want to show you how different it is on video in real life. So this photo captures it much better. This is the kind of rocks that I'm dealing with, and then on the video you'll see in just a second it looks much different. It doesn't look quite as gnarly right here, but it is pretty sketchy. I've got this one big giant boulder on the left and a big giant boulder on the right, and I'm trying to squeeze this big Jeep in between them, and the gap's only about a foot wide. That was a big hit. Took a lot of damage right there on that hit. I still don't know what all's wrong with that thing. But I backed out of it and I'm trying to hit it again. Let's take a look.
Broken drive shaft.
Just was not happening. It was super steep, and I kept flexing so much that for some reason the drive shaft would pull apart. I think I was having axle wrap, so I've got to get that taken care of. Then I had to winch out to this boulder, and even that wasn't enough, so we had to put a second winch line on because I was pretty wedged in there. Luckily that was the end of the week, the end of the day, and right before I headed home, so that's why I decided to hit the gnarly stuff. And this last one's just a bonus. It was captured off of Instagram, so it looks like it's shot with a potato, but that's because it's on mashed potatoes and gravy, and this is the gravy bowl. So check this out. You had to get down in this bowl, turn right, and then power out. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please leave a comment below. What was your favorite obstacle of this video? And have you ever gone up any of these obstacles in your Jeep? I would like to know. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that blue bell, and we'll see you in the next video.